Hello everyone, this is Woman Grandmaster Sabina Foisor. Very excited to be back here with another video about the upcoming Women's World Championship match. This tournament is set to start on April 3rd and is going to take place in China for the first 6 days in Shanghai, and then the tournament will move to Chongqing. The two players, well, number 2 and 3 in the world, Grandmaster and defending champion Wenjun, will be facing the challenger, Grandmaster Tan Zhongyi. But there's more to the story, so let me start at the beginning. In 2017, Grandmaster Tan Zhongyi won the Women's World Cup. At the time, it was a knockout tournament, and she was declared the Women's World Champion. Fun fact about that tournament, I actually ended up playing her in the first round, and well, I lost, clearly. So she went on to become the world champion in 2017. A year later, she had to defend her title against Wenjun. Unfortunately for her, she lost that match 4.5 to 5.5. That made Wenjun the women's world champion. From 2018 up to today, Wenjun had to defend her title on 2 occasions and 2 matches. In 2020, she faced Grandmaster Aleksandra Goryachkina, and she ended up drawing that match but winning it in tie breaks. So the classical games finished 6-6, and then in the tie breaks, Wenjun won 2.5 to 1.5. A few years later, in 2023, she faced another compatriot, Grandmaster Lei Tingjie, and it was a very exciting match, actually, because it was quite balanced between the two players. I think it was probably very tough for Ju, considering that in a few interviews she mentioned Lei was a pretty good friend. So, you know, I think it's hard to play against friends sometimes. But although the match was balanced for most of it, in the final round of the classical chess, Wenjun was able to win, defending her title at the time. And now, back to today, Tan Zhongyi has won the challenger title. She won the right to challenge Wenjun, and now the two players will be back at the board. So I think it's going to be quite exciting. If you want to find out more information about the tournament and look at, you can look at the official website, which we will share in the description below. Both players are 32. Their highest peak rating for Ju was 2604, for Tan 2561. You can read more about their stories and profile on the official website, and then of course you can also check out the schedule to see when the games will take place. Now, it may be hard to actually follow the games live depending where you're watching from, because the game started at 3 p.m. local time in China. And if you happen to be on the East Coast in the United States, that's going to be 3 a.m. But for some chess fans, you know, it is possible. I may try to wake up as early as possible to make sure I keep up with how the games go, but you don't need to. Feel free to check out the posts that we'll be making on US Chess with how the games went, in case you want short recaps. So after each 2 games, the players will have a day off, and in the middle of the tournament, after game 6, they will switch over to the next location. They'll have 2 days in between, April 11th and 12th, and then they'll play another 6 games. In case the match finishes in 6-6, on 21st of April, they'll play tie breaks, and then the closing ceremony will be the next day. So this is the official website schedule, and we'll be sure to leave it in the description for you to catch up on things. Now, what I decided to do, I thought it would be kind of fun to go back to the match of 2018, and I chose some of my favorite moments from that match between the two players. And I thought, before I give you my predictions, we should do a little bit of chess, because, you know, this is about trying to educate one another, try to learn new things, and just get to know the players. because after you see this, maybe you'll have a favorite. In case you didn't know the players, maybe you'll go do a little bit of research and choose which one of the two players you'd like to win. So, and also, before I get started, a fun fact about their match. So the first game in their match in 2018 finished in a draw, and then rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were all decided games. So I don't know what that tells you, but that's a little bit of information maybe you wanted to have. So let's get into this position. This was played in round 2, and Wenjun had the black pieces. If you pause the video and try to evaluate this rook endgame, you might realize that black is definitely better placed, way more active rook. This pawn in d3 is way more advanced than this one in f5. And black's king is close to actually blocking the f pawn, whereas white's king is a bit too far. In addition, black has the opportunity to activate this rook as well. And that's exactly what Wenjun played here. She went for the move rook a2. The position is already close to winning for black, but you still need a little bit of technique to be able to convert it fully. So after rook a2 check, king f3 was played, and now d2. Of course, we're threatening promotion. And before deciding to block that pawn with rook d1, Tan ended up giving a couple of checks. Helpful or not, I think in the end it didn't really matter that much, but here she decided to go rook d1 directly. Had she given the check king d6, then black could have simply pushed that c pawn forward, and I don't think there was much that white could do to stop it. So that's why playing rook d1 in this moment is good, because white maintains the pressure in c5. And in this position you need to find a good move for black. So Ju ended up playing the move rook to c2. I love this idea, and you learn this in rook endgames, that a rook in between two connected passed pawns can help them be supported all the way till the promotion, because now c4, c3 is going to be played, and then we can plan to go rook c1, and there isn't so much that white can do to stop that. Going on forward, white played h3, and black continued with c4, trades, and rook c1. White has to go king to e2 to avoid the rook to be lost, and now c3, threatening the move c2. And in this position, I think Tan realized that it's not so easy to stop those pawns, so she brought in her rook with 2 checks, king f3, and now how do we progress? Well, first rook g8. This was a bit surprising to me because, you know, just stopping some rook g6 check. I don't think it was really necessary. The rook in d1, though, is now hanging, and when the king went back, she didn't even try to think of capturing in g4. Instead, she played this move rook h8. I like it a lot because we're threatening check and also maybe rook h1, but check, deflection, and winning the rook. Rook d6 was played, and after the trade of the rooks and rook h1, white resigned. So this was the first game that Wenjun won in that match. Now, let's see how Tan was able to put herself together, get motivated, and win in the next game. Here is the position that happened at some point in round 4. So Tan has the white pieces, and basically, you know, here you can see that white is having quite a lot of pressure on the king side, and black is the one defending. But you still need to find a way to open the rooks, right? Because, you know, you don't really want to capture in f5. You want to try to find a way to open the g file, right? So how can we do that? We need to prepare it. Typically, how do we open up files? By pushing pawns forward. So Tan found this beautiful move queen h5. The idea is to play h4, which is a move that cannot really be stopped. And bishop d7 was played, and now h4. I think after this move, black's position is hopeless. There isn't so much that black can do to continue, other than trying to trade pieces, because when you're attacked, you want to try to find ways to defend. Obviously, Ju is not going to resign. She's going to try to find some ways, but it's not so easy. So f takes g4 was played, but you see when that happened, in order to try to trade the rooks, the bishop opened up. So now queen g6, that's why it was so great to place the queen in h5. Check, king h8, queen takes h6, check. The king went to g8, and now rook takes g4. It's actually kind of nice that you cannot capture this rook in f3, so we're technically hanging the rook. And now rook takes g5, and you have to sack the queen after queen takes g5. Let's say king f7. You may think, wait a second, I got 2 rooks for the queen. What are you saying, Sabina? This could have worked. Not quite, because we still have the bishop, and the queen are not the best, maybe in attack, because, you know, knight and queen in combination are supposedly better, but that's just in theory. You know, in practice, you always have to double check things. Bishop g6 could happen, and now bishop h5. Even if we won't mate, at least we'll have the opportunity to win the rook. So after rook takes g4 in this position, black did not capture in f3. Wenjun tried rook g7 to cover up the g file and hope for a defense. And here, I loved Tan's move. She didn't get rid of tensions. In fact, she brought a piece on a much better square. Now that this rook is hanging, you need to do something with it. Trade could have been possible, but no, rook f6. Rook f6 was played. And I like it because you can't capture, because the pawn will recapture, and that's going to be a fork. Queen b4, with the idea to get, you know, some activity. But now, beautiful finish. Feel free to pause the video and find white to move and mate in 3. Tan continued. Queen takes g7, king takes g7, rook takes g5, followed by rook h6, and she won. All right, we saw 2 games. Are you ready to see more, or do you want my predictions? I'm going to answer that question for you. Anyways, I have 2 more examples. So let's move on to round 5. The next game, it was time to find our, to find her power to get back into the game. And Zhu ended up getting this position. If we evaluate it, at first, you notice that black is up a pawn, but also white has the bishop pair. And, you know, bishop pair is pretty good with an open center. What to do? Well, I really liked the combination and an arrangement of pieces, the coordination that Zhu was able to find here. Obviously, a lot of white's pieces are kind of, you know, stuck around this area, and there's not so much defending white's king, specifically h2. So it's time to find a way to put additional pressure on white's king. So the way Wenjun did it, she played the move knight e5, attacking the queen, queen to d4, and now she brought in another piece to the attack. She did not rush with the move knight g4, but she brought in this rook here, now threatening the move knight f3, royal fork, I believe it's called, attacking all of those pieces. And it's a devastating attack. Bishop takes e4. This stops knight f3, temporary. Pawn takes, threatening knight here once again. The king had to go away to avoid knight f3, but guess what? This could have happened anyways. In the game, king f1 was played, and same thing. Knight to f3, attacking these 2 pieces. White played the move queen to d7. Obviously, you cannot take it. That is a hanging piece that cannot be captured because a queen h3 check, rook g2, queen takes g2, checkmate. So after queen d7, knight takes h2 was played, and white resigned. Obviously, after this move, knight f3 is coming right back, and black shall be able to, if not, at least get my material, but a mate should be close by as well. Well, what are we thinking so far? Do you have a favorite? If not, well, maybe I'm confusing you even more right now, because this is the final game, the final position that I want to show you, and this is a game where Tan Zhongyi won. It was this queen endgame, and this is move 64. The players just traded the final pair of rooks, and they gotten into this queen endgame. Black is up a pawn, but you know what they say about queen endgames. It's not necessarily so easy. And from here on, Tan was able to bring her king all the way up to e2. and f2 later. So I'm going to skip every 10 moves to kind of give you an idea of how the position progressed, because I don't want to go through every single move. But this is like 10 moves later, and this is 10 moves later. Suddenly, the king has advanced in the middle of the board, and you have to be careful how you advance it, of course, to make sure that the opponent is not going to have perpetual check. Moving on to move 93, queen d1 check, and at some point Tan had to go back a little bit to make sure that she wouldn't allow perpetual, but suddenly she was able to make it. And around here, it's move 108. See how the king made it to f2? And now e2. And from here on, I actually want to show you the ending because I think it's quite nice. Why it was important to bring the king to f2? Well, this is the only way you're going to take advantage of the weak king of whites, which cannot come into play. So all we have to do is use the queen as a shield to cover the checks. Queen c2 check, queen e2, checky, king f1, and now king h3 was played, because that was a counter check in case you missed it. Maybe you were thinking, oh, I got queen h1. No, sorry, it's a counter check. And a beautiful move here, king to g1. Okay, so for one moment, there was no check. We are threatening to checkmate with queen h2. White has to give this check, queen f2, and after queen c1, queen f1, black won. I hope you enjoyed my my two different videos, because my four positions that I chose, because I feel that you know, it gives you a little bit of perspective as to how the two players did in the past. And now for the final predictions, I gotta say, well, basically what happened is I made the mistake of telling my friends that I think there will be 6 decisive games. Last time there were 5, so why not 6? I do not know. So my prediction is there will be 6 games. And before I finish off this, I wanted to show you another cool thing. This website that my friend has put together, and it's a new company that does a lot of statistics for tournaments. We'll also leave this link in the description. It's called Statistics, and they're putting together different statistics for various tournaments. If you want to get in touch with them, feel free to do so. But right now, here's what we got. 48 games were played between these two players, and this is the percentage between the two. It seems that Tan actually is performing much better with the black pieces, and well, this is the actual score, 25-23. So, is Wenjun going to be able to maintain her title of Women's World Champion, or is Tan going to be able to take her revenge from 2018 and claim the title back again? I want you to let us know. Feel free to leave your comments, like this video if you enjoyed it, leave your comments in the description, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. As for me, I'm looking forward to the match. I want to see 6 decisive games, and I can't wait to bring you more insights about the tournament. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, see you very soon. Thanks for watching.